How do you minimize risks but maximize the reward for something new? I don't know anything about it.
Hmm. Well, I think you have to flip the script on what risk is. Sometimes we say that risk taking, we're afraid of taking risks because something bad might happen. And so we want to flip the script and look at it. Well, if you take a risk, the opposite of that could also be true. Let's focus on what the possible outcome could be that we're looking to achieve, and we're going for that, right? So making sure that we are driven towards what we want in life and refeeding that to our thinking mind and our behavior so that that's what shows up.
Yeah, it's funny because we have lots of friends that say, "I want to start a business. I'm in corporate. I like the money, but I don't like what I do. I've been doing it for a long time. I do really want to start a business, but I don't know what to do exactly." And of course, there's that fear of taking the leap. How do you help that person? I mean, what do you say?
Help them get attached to, again, the outcome. What if you did do this? I often say this: if you did know what to do, what would you do? That's a question I ask a lot. And when someone says I don't know, and I'll say, well, if you did know, what would you do? And
Ah,
give them some time to think about it. And or I'll say to them, use your imagination and just pretend for a moment with me. So helping people get unstuck so that they can begin to see the version of themselves that they dream about, especially when they're moving from maybe the corporate world to becoming part of your team or having their own business or whatever it is they want to do. A lot of times people say, I want to write a book, but I could never do that, or I never could find the time. Well, what if you could find the time? What would your book be about? And help them begin to see that vision so that then you can help them, create the steps to having that become reality.
Well, what I see is that a lot of times people's biggest barrier is fear. And I don't think a lot of people understand what fear is. When you start to get down to it, to realize a realization to what fear is, it goes deeper than the mind. Because you have different types of fear. You have primordial fear, which means if somebody is attacking you, you can, you have to do what you have to do to survive. That's a part of our makeup. But then you have psychological fear. And that is being trapped in thoughts and emotions and being in a bad dream and nothing is really happening. And I think a lot of times people are stuck with fear in that they can't get out of their thoughts and emotions that's pulling them into this illusion, if you will, that the emotions that you're feeling and the thoughts that you're feeling that's associated and attached to whatever you're afraid of has nothing to do with the situation. It has everything to do with you being trapped in your own mind.
Surely you've heard the acronym false evidence appearing real, the acronym for fear, right? So I don't want to dumb this down any, but for somebody who may not be aware of it and haven't heard it, fear is basically false evidence appearing real. And to your point, and what we said earlier around Business Radio X being a place to tell stories, our lives are all about the stories we tell ourselves. So we can all have had an experience today together, being on the show together. And 3 months from now, if somebody were to eavesdrop on a conversation about Angela telling what happened, me and you, they were all going to be slightly different. That's because that's the story that we've told ourselves. None of that is necessarily reality. It's our version of what took place. And so when we talk about stepping out of fear, if we can begin to look at whatever we're afraid of as just the story we've told ourselves about something and begin to shift that story, a whole new reality can take place.
Well, that's interesting because I talk a lot of times I talk about the boogeyman in the closet. And somebody told you better get in the bed, and if you do wrong, the boogeyman gonna jump out the closet and get you. So when you go to the bed, you go to sleep. Well, we spend all of these years running, getting into bed, hiding, scared to go to the bathroom, thinking about believing that there's a boogeyman in the closet. But one day you get sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you start to, through your suffering, you start to awaken, if you will. And a thought comes to say, well, wait a minute. Let me open up this closet because now I got enough faith and strength and courage to just take that extra step. That's in a light come on. And then you open up the closet door and you look and there's nothing there. And then you say to yourself, my goodness, I've been going through all of this pain and suffering for all of these years to realize that there is nothing to be afraid of. And so a lot of times the stories that we tell ourselves, the stories that we identify with, the stories that we're attached to, is that boogeyman in the closet. And in that awareness and awakening, you reincarnate. The old you that was attached to those fears dissolve, and the new you incarnate to another level of your light, the way that you express yourself in this world.
Absolutely agree. And can I take it a step deeper?
Absolutely.
Please.
There are people who will argue that idea and say, but I did open the closet when I was 15, 9, 3, 28, and there was a boogeyman there. I mean, metaphorically speaking.
Yes.
And that's where trauma impacts how we show up in this world. This is oftentimes what you were speaking to earlier around the unconscious part of us that runs the program.
Absolutely.
And so when we experience trauma in our life, we go into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. And it's out of survival. And so if we've had an experience that has been traumatic and caused chaos, then our reptilian brain goes to, I've got to protect. I need to get out of here. I need to fight. I need to overly take care of you so that you love and accept me, whatever those things are, a combination of it. And until we address that trauma and be able to clear the shock out of our body, we believe that that boogeyman still lives in the closet.